Okay.
And then my second part to that, since this is going to be, I'm assuming, permanently vacated, this whole area, just to the west of there is delineated parking, street side parking. Is that something that could potentially be extended that way, to further kind of separate it off from?
If and when that is to be closed and recurbed, that's something that we could continue that parking stall. You probably, depending on where the last parking stall ends, you could potentially get 1 or maybe 2 additional parallel parking stalls in there. So, yeah, that's something that we could take advantage of as a city to add a couple more parking stalls.
Because, I mean, as of right now, even with Roundhouse being as popular as it is, I've had to drive all the way back around and walk. I mean, that's a great thing. So, I mean, 1 or 2 parking spots is actually sure.
Well, and that would be your blocker too for that entrance. So that then you could probably have your split rail fencing, and you know, it was as long as it was permanent.
Right.
I think I'm a big fan of that, and I think in your business that would be a nice look. Personally, that's my personal opinion. But so anyway, I like the split rail fencing as long as it's permanent.
Again, I have no problem making it permanent. Regards to Travis's comment about the iron fence and the brick, and I would have to do some cost factors on the extending the planters, the planter. I like that idea better than the fence. But when we get in wrought iron, there was wrought iron fence there before I took over the property, and it was in pieces. It was just a section at a time, and I don't want that. If I do it, I want it professionally made, professionally welded, where it's one continuous piece, and that's high dollar. So that's we're just in limbo on that, I guess. But when we back to this, are we also talking about the split rail fence on the south end as well, wanting to change it, or just the north end?
On the south end, I believe we're talking more privacy. I was viewing the south end to be more...
Well, when I say south,
Oh, okay.
just right behind the outdoor display.
That's not...
I mean, making that permit too is fine with me.
I think what you have inside, I'm not as concerned about as I am from, like, if you're on the street looking at the face of your business, does it kind of, are all the downtown buildings going to kind of flow together?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it going to stick out that this is a nursery in the middle of downtown? I mean, that's where I like the look of everything matching, but then it looks like we placed another business in the middle of what we're trying to revitalize.
Right. I hear that concern. I've worked with Travis and Michelle and Mike because I don't want that. I mean, I am investing a lot of money to redo this and also work with the city on making this a curb appeal. You're right. You see this when you enter downtown. So my facility will be the first that you actually see. So that's what I want, the outdoor display with the flowers, with the upkeep, just a wow factor rather than a vacant lot that kind of looks raggedy as it is right now.
So the item, I'll ask a question to staff. Number 2 under the recommendation was the proposed temporary split rail perimeter fencing shall be revised to be composed of a compatible material to complement the existing character of downtown and be permanently anchored and submitted to staff for approval. The method of construction shall be reviewed at the time of building permit. Are we stating that at this time, this is still just kind of an open question as to what that compatible material is. Just looking for clarification.
Yeah, it's the recommendation of staff that a more compatible material be used. It's more of the discretion of the planning commission, of the commission to determine maybe what that material is. I will say that if it was determined that a split rail was okay, from the commission, then that's sort of your prerogative, to determine that that would be, an okay material to use. So, I don't know if that clarifies the question you're asking.
Yeah, that helps, but I want to ask another question. So, with that, is that something that tonight, if we should make a recommendation to approve and add in a note within the recommendation as to what type of material used? Is that the approach that we would then be taking and setting forth that statement? Or it just seems pleasant to me.
I don't have a problem with I didn't have a problem with the temporary split rail, but if it is gonna be permanent, I'd like to see a different material, and I think what it really is saying, we just don't know what that is yet, and allow staff to work with them. Obviously, you've been doing a lot of that already, to find something.
And to further clarify, we are talking 18 months here for the right-of-way and all that to be settled with the state. And you're wanting to open up before that, correct?
April 1st.
Yeah.
April 1st. So, I'm assuming we don't want to do anything real permanent either if we haven't fully addressed that, vacating that drive either, because there's going to be they're going to have to pour in curbs and concrete and all that as well, so is there kind of like a stopgap there between that whole approval process?
Well, my attention to the fence is not even going to be in the way of all that.
All right.
My attention to the fence is going to pretty much be parallel with what would that be, the back side of the sidewalk and the existing neighbor building. Since my building sits back a little further, it's actually my awning that's on that line. So it's pretty much going to be with that back of the sidewalk.
Okay, so there's no grade or anything at that point, okay.
No.
And I think somewhere it said something about the fencing, it was gonna help, with like the lights of the cars, but I don't see how the split rail would do that.
That's the back
That's
side of the
back.
fence.